Hello, well, what we're going to cover today are floor systems. Now, floor systems are basically what you're walking on and help support the entire house. So, a floor system would typically go on top of a foundation. In our case, we are going to build our floor system on top of wooden built up walls because obviously we will eventually move our house to a foundation. So, the floor system is the first thing that we're going to tackle. So, we need to know a little bit about floor joists. Now, when I talk about floor joists, these are structural members or components that truly support the house, the walls, everything above the floor system. Now, floor joists come in many different varieties. We happen to be using trusses. Down here, these are the actual trusses you're going to be setting. This is a side view, the picture of the trusses that you're going to set. This is the plan view, the overhead. Remember the bird's eye view that we talked about earlier on in some of our lessons. So here I'm looking down at our platform and it tells me the layout of my floor joists. Now, when I talk about floor joists, they're typically spaced at 16 inches on center. That's not true with every house or every building. They can vary. They can go 12 inches, they can go 16, they can 19 too. But for our purposes, we're going to stick with that really common layout that we've been talking a little bit about, which is 16 inches on center. And depending on the complexity of your floor joist system, and ours is fairly complex, you're going to get a set of plans from the manufacturer of the floor joist system or the architect basically specking out or telling you. When I say specking out, I mean specifying and telling you exactly where these components are going to go in the house. So let's take a look at what yours are going to look like. Now, the floor joists, like I said, they support the entire structure up above. They're going to support all the walls, the roof, and it's going to also help support all the elements, such as when you get snow on your roof or wind on the side of your walls. That all that force is kind of transferred down into your floors as well. So it's imperative that floor joists are set well. They're level, they're square, they're plumb, and they are in the correct location. And when I say correct location, what we are going to do, we're going to be very conscious to set our floor joists in the proper orientation, being up or down. They're actually labeled on top, top or bottom. And also, these are referred to as the webs, the center components. You want to make sure your webs align. In other words, you could look straight on through your webs if you lined them up. The other components of the truss, just so you have the nomenclature down, is going to be the top cord and the bottom cord. And these are referred to as gussets. They hold your truss together. And in your case, your floor joists or trusses, these are trusses that act as your floor joists, are exceptionally strong, they're exceptionally straight, and they really make for a very nice floor. So, in order to hold these together, what we need to do is put a rim board around them. Now, I want you to reference the mock-ups that are built around your classroom. There's an entire floor system mock-up, build-up of this whole system I'm talking about. Take a look at it, and it's going to make a lot more sense as you go through these PowerPoints. But what we have here is a rim board. What we have here is a rim board. It basically holds the trusses in place as you construct your building. This will also typically go around the entire perimeter of the building. As you can see here, it's running around the perimeter of the building. We're going to get to the decking, your sheathing, your tongue and groove sheathing in a minute. But for now, we'll stick with our rim boards. It typically goes around the entire building. What you see here is the bump out of the building. This is very similar to what you're going to be building. You guys have your floor joists are actually a process called cantilevering. When you actually overhang a floor joist unsupported underneath, you're actually going to have a bump out like this for your bathroom. So you're going to be building something very, very similar to this, and it'll look just like this when we're done. But a rim board, the purpose of a rim board, the function of a rim board is to go around the entire perimeter of your floor system, your floor joists, and hold them together. As we talked about earlier, and as you know from your mock-ups, as you see down here, this is actually treated lumber that your floor joists sit on, then it sits on the foundation. Like I said, for you, us, we are going to build this on a wooden platform so we can deconstruct our building and move it to the correct location. So now, once we have all our floor joists in place, it is time to put our decking on, our sheathing. And you guys are starting to figure out there's many different terms for the same product. You're going to find that the nomenclature varies slightly in our industry for every particular item. So unfortunately, you do need to understand different terms for the same type of product. And what we're talking about here now is our sheathing or our decking. And what you are going to use is called 3/4 inch tongue and groove decking. Once again, refer back to the mock-ups that I have around the classroom. When we call it tongue and groove, it's for this purpose. You see a tongue here and you see a groove here. This obviously fits into this, and it actually leaves a small gap, a little bit bigger gap than what you can see here in this subfloor. But you'll actually have a gap in your subfloor when these two pieces come together, and that's for expansion and contraction. Believe it or not, wood is kind of a living, breathing item still. It moves. I'm sure you've seen this if you put a piece of wood outside or drop it in a bucket of water. It will swell up like a sponge. So they actually build houses so we can accommodate for that movement within the house, and particularly the subfloor. When the wind blows, things like that, it's going to start moving. So we will go through, we will put down all the sheathing over top of our floor joists. And once we have that done, we have an entire finished floor system that is ready to build walls on. The next step is going to be framing walls on top of our floor joist system. We're going to go through, mark off our walls where they're going to be located. We're going to snap lines so we can see clearly where all the walls are going to be located. So that concludes our lesson on finished floor systems. Bye-bye.